Hello, friends. Welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we aim to create a little more room in the world for authentic connection, insightful healing, and a deeper understanding of our hearts, ourselves, and each other through honest conversation. My name is Joel. I'm a Reiki and 13th octave Lao Chi practitioner, a facilitator for deep healing, and your host. My guest today is Gillian Grassie. Gillian is a harpist, singer-songwriter, writer, and screenwriter. She is a facilitator of a relational meditation practice called relateful flow or circling. She is also a space holder and coach. You can find her on Instagram at Gillian Grassie and on Spotify. On this episode, we attempt to ground amidst the chaos and triggers. We talk about finding community, body dysmorphia, loving all parts of us, and healing artist wounds. We also have a drop-by visit from Gillian's dog, Leah. As usual, we start with check-ins so we can be more attuned to each other. Come on in. Hi, Gillian.
Hi, Joel. Oh, my heart.
Your heart?
My heart.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard my dog whine. She's locked in the bedroom.
Is that what that sounded?
That was Leah.
It sounded like someone blowing their nose.
No, it was Leah crying because she's not able to be with us right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Leah.
Yeah.
We'll hook you up with some love post the next some odd hours.
It's not gonna be better, Joel.
No, we'll do a check-in halfway through. Anyway, hello.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on and spending some time with me.
Yeah, thanks for bearing with me through that tech check.
Yeah.
And for coming to visit me out in LA.
Oh my goodness. I'm in LA and I'm staying with Gillian and she's just such a gracious host and it feels so comfortable here to be with you, and I'm very grateful for you putting me up, and now you're doing a podcast with me. Yay. So, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's start with check-ins, and I'm gonna go first.
Yeah.
Okay, and the check-ins are how we are feeling in this moment. And what I am feeling is I am slowly calming our setup. We were really trying to get it right for us, and we did. We got it as right as we could, and now I'm settling. Now I'm in the process of settling in my body from that, and we had there's a part of me, and there's still part of me that's processing and working through a little not altercation, a little tension that we had prior to even setting up for the podcast. So I'm with that a little bit too, and feeling some I had done something that I didn't fully hold and think through, and it affected Gillian, and I'm holding that still, and I'm still in that. So that's here, which makes me like really want to like be here for you as best as I can throughout this process. Like even more so, like I'm really like wanting to do a better job than I did right before the podcast. So that's there. And other than that, I've been looking forward to this one for a while because I love talking with you, and I just love what we get into. So I'm so excited and curious about what's going to come up.
Yeah, I'm a bundle of tension. I'm a bundle of, my check-in is I'm like, woo, like this. I'm like, it's the experience of the discomfort of like being on camera and having to see myself on camera to check like the amount of like that's in that for me has drowned out. Like I'm just trying to be a human in a body across from me right now, and there's a lot in the way of me being able to like even like I'm with how much like dissociation I'm in right now. I think, and like I'm trying to land so that I can actually just be in a conversation with you, and I'm feeling really blocked from doing that and frustrated by that, and like the layers of self-consciousness of like, oh my gosh, like it's this introverted thing, and I don't think anyone who would be watching this right now would have any sense of like what I'm actually like to be around, because like I can't even feel myself right now. I'm so in that. I'm in deep in that trigger.
Heard.
Coming in hot.
Heard, received.
I'm coming in so hot. I have this weird surreal thing of like, oh yeah, this is Joel, and we've been hanging out for a few days, and we have great conversations, and we laugh all the time. And even that moment where you're like, oh, I really want to hold you, and you're tearing up, I was like, oh, I'm like feeling a little touched by this, but it's through these layers of like bubble wrap gauze of just how like present in my awareness that fucking camera is, and like what do my cheeks look like it right now, and is that how I look as I move through the world? And I don't know that that's okay, if that's true. And my lack of security and my sense of what I look like, how I'm perceived, my control over that or lack thereof, and like just a like my sense of self, like it's like a, oh my god, I still hear my dog crying in the background too. There's a lot happening right now.
There is a lot happening.
There's a lot. So that's my check-in.
Well, thank you for
that's my check-in.
The very honest check-in.
Yeah.
How does it feel having named all that?
It feels like there's a rope, and I'm just like trying to, in naming, like pull myself, like not force myself, but like it's like the tether to this present moment and connection with you and reality that I'm trying to like it's the way I'm trying to be here while being so dissociated. It's like I'm trying to just like, I guess I'll just keep naming, and maybe I can pop out of this eventually, where I can actually feel grounded. Yeah. And connected. Yeah.
I am. Yeah, what's going on in me right now is, first of all, very happy to be in whatever you're feeling with you. And second is this, I feel this other part of me that's like, it's not like a not caring part, but it's a caring part that's thinking, that's spinning, going, can Joel, can you come up with a topic that she really loves to talk about? You know? But it's like, then I'm in those split of be with her in this and work through it and be with her and see what happens, or try to distract. And I just wanted to name those two things. There's also, I'm feeling, this is what I'm feeling. As you were talking about, even before you were talking about the lifeline or the tether that you were just like trying to like it be in relation with me and like holding on, I can feel that by the way you're intently looking at me. Not a bad thing, but I was like, oh wow, she's like really, really like working to look through this dissociation to like connect with me. It's the sense I was getting.
My dog's feeling pretty loud. Leah's check-in is she's not happy. My dog Leah's check-in is that she's not happy.
Yeah. If she was out here, would she? What do you think she would do?
I don't know. I'm noticing I have to pee. I'm like, should I get up and pee? Should I get up and pee and get my dog, or like give my dog a treat and like a little reassurance? And then like we've started. You know. Yeah. But that's what I want to do. I want to get up.
Yeah.
And use the bathroom and check in with my dog. Because I don't know how present I can be with you and this and my I think of her as like a 5-year-old child that's just like, Mom,
do it. Do what you need to do, please. Okay, so welcome back, Gillian. And Leah, who was just off camera, but seemingly happier a little bit.
She's not actively crying right now.
Yeah.
So. Please don't knock down the cameras, Leah. Leah, down. Lay down. Good girl. Good. Okay. Good luck.
Yeah.
There you go.
Do you want me to move her bed over there?
No, that's fine. She can just stay on the...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So much fun. So much.
Should we get some more animals in here?
There's yeah. I would love like a parrot.
Oh.
That would be amazing.
I just flash forward to you like doing the healing session, and you're like doing an invocation or something, and the parrot like picks it up. It's like, we're calling Archangel Michael.
Raphael. Oh, that would be incredible. I have to look at angels. Angels of light. Please heal Gillian. Oh my god. I have to look into getting a parrot now.
Just for that.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that. I didn't even look what time we started. That's okay. I'll look now.
You're gonna name the parrot Lucifer?
Am I gonna name what? Name the parrot what?
Lucifer.
Lucifer? Oh my Jesus. No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
I thought that would be a funny. All right, whatever.
It would be funny. It'd be funny. No, I don't know if it'd be funny. That scares me.
Okay.
When like we're talking about calling in archangels, and then we're like, oh, and here's Lucifer calling in the archangels. I mean, it's funny.
Thank you. Sorry, I think I just triggered you.
Yeah, something happened. Something on the switchboard went.
I feel so awkward. I'm trying to feel less awkward.
This is so great. This is this is definitely the most rambunctious of an opening to a podcast that I've had. So we can we can hold on to that. Yeah, 20th is charm. Episode 20. Oh, okay. How does it feel to have Leah back out here now?
Better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Better than like hearing her pitifully cry behind the door a couple rooms away. As I'm trying to like
be here. Just be here.
Just be here. Just be present,
I'm
Gillian.
just trying to exist.
Just be fucking present. Can I curse? I probably can't.
That's going to be the name of the episode. Just be fucking present with Gillian Grassie. You can curse on here.
Okay, great.
Yeah, curse, swear.
Good to know.
You just can't name a parrot Lucifer. That's the only thing you can't do on this podcast.
Heard. We found the boundaries. There they are.
Ooh, wild. What that? Hold on. I'm curious about what that did to me. I felt very protective of the archangels there, and I actually was. I was protective of the Lahochi. It's something that was part of what came up. And how Lucifer is a dark angel. The darkest. Yeah, there was something protective. I was like, don't bring that energy into Lahochi land. It's fine though. We got. I caught up to the humor of it.
Ultimately, it's a parrot.
It's a parrot. Oh yeah, did I say parakeet?
No.
Oh, it's a parrot. Oh, ultimately. Oh my god. Wow. I wonder if we should spend some time doing a grounding exercise for both of us. What do you do for grounding? To ground?
Oh, so many different things depending on where I am, what's going on. Not one thing. Man, if it's available to me and it's like the right situation, like cuddling is awesome. Oh, I love a good cuddle. That'll just like regulate my nervous system right away and get me into my body and here.
With anybody?
No, not with anybody.
Okay. I mean, okay, well, anybody's a very broad term.
That's a really big...
with someone you trust, obviously. Yeah. I guess what I really meant was... Jesus. No, that's not what I...
Hello?
What I was really... When I say, yeah, just the guy on the street, I need to cuddle. Get in here. I guess what I was wondering was friends or lovers.
Certainly lovers. They don't cuddle. They're not lovers. I don't do that. And not all friends. Like there's some friends. Like we have actually a pretty there's a physical boundary, touch boundary thing. So like that, in order for it to be grounding, that has to be like an established part of our comfort zone. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Do you feel like those relationships kind of start with a comfort zone of touch, or have you also been shifted a relationship into, let's set a container for a cuddle?
Both. Yeah, both. There's some friendships that touch has always been part of it. It's also certainly like sometimes down to individuals, like family cultures. Like some people are just kind of more naturally touchy, and so like from the beginning of the friendship, that was just kind of part of the dynamic, you know. And then if there is like a touch boundary, yeah, I've had situations where that's changed. And then I've even had friends where like, you know, like I met some friends at like a cuddle party kind of a thing, like a friend, like being invited to someone's, you know, house for a little evening of cuddling, you know, which was like awkward to start, then felt great. You know, and now it's like those friends I expect touch from, you know.
What was the shifting point in that, where you said it was awkward at first and then felt great?
I would say it was probably awkward for me, not for them. They seemed more, I mean, they host these things all the time. This is part of like this containers that they build because they like them, you know. Yeah. And it was a new type of specific container for me to step into with you know, I just moved out here again. I didn't know these people very well. So, yeah, it was just, I warmed up like within the evening, you know, wasn't that long, but yeah, of course there was like an easing in. Yeah, I wish I had something more interesting to say right now about it.
Well, I guess my question is it just because you learned that you felt after a bit of being with them that they were safe people, and the way that they were talking and setting containers, and it just felt...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's also partly just like, yeah, I mean, things that can make me feel not safe cuddling with someone is, like, I love to see people having any type of energetic awareness, that they understand that, like, it's more than just touch. Like, we have energy fields, and they, you know, can be like, you know, versus this, you know, like you were talking about how intense my gaze was. That was like, my energetic field was like really reaching out to try and like, you know, like, where are you? Yeah. Really down in a pit here, you know? But like someone who's doing that without any like consciousness around that thing, and I guess I'm afraid of like vampiric stuff, or like, or just like someone I'm gonna have to really, like the holding boundaries with them is going to be exhausting, because I can't do it in the gentle, boundaries are great, especially when it's like I can just be like, oh, this, I'm like, oh, great, you know. When it's like, wow, I set a boundary and they didn't catch that version where it was like a really chill one that didn't have to like ripple through the conversation or the interaction. It was like, wow, that went over their head. Okay, cool. We gotta like up the volume on this a little bit so they can hopefully hear this signal. It's like, nope, they're not tuned into that frequency either. Okay, shit. Okay, I have to make this really loud. It's like, okay, it's not. Okay, now I have to make it like really, really loud and explicit, and like it's gonna be probably disruptive to whatever else is happening right now, and that's gonna be a little awkward and embarrassing. I have to do that one. And then it's like, wow, if you even do that and then they're still not getting it and they're pushing through, it's like, fuck me. Like, this is too much work. This is stressful. Yeah.
Have you come across that in a cuddle party situation?
No.
Yeah.
No. The ones that I was talking about are like invite only of friends, so it's like it's kind of pre-screened for people that are kind of with it in that way. There are certainly I did go to one cuddle party. It was like a ticketed thing. There was like a workshop ahead of time, and that one was great for me because it was a really good, I didn't actually want to be in physical contact with pretty much anyone there, and so it was a really really good, exhausting, but like good practice place for me to be getting more comfortable in my no, like rejecting people, basically rejecting bids for contact, and not falling into a people pleasing, like, let me just abandon myself to make this person comfortable. So it was actually nice to have an explicit container where that was part of the prompts, and I was like, woo, I'm really getting to work this muscle today, because I do not feel comfortable with, you know.
Did you come across anybody that you felt comfortable with in that specific one?
I did for a little bit, and then it started to be like, oh shit, this is like one of those, like, I can feel like there's a, it's like we're hitting a place where it's like, I'm actually done with this person isn't, and now I'm in the place where it's like, oh, this feels uncomfortable, maybe disengage from, that's my edge, I'm gonna do that anyway. I went past that edge a bit because that's the amount of discomfort I need to motivate me to do it, or I did at that time. But yeah, it wasn't like so easeful. It was like, let me try this. I think this feels good. And then I was in it for a while. I was like, it was fine for a little bit. And then I was like, actually, I'm over this. And then I stayed in it longer than I actually authentically would have liked to. Not their fault. That was me working through my people pleaser and like being willing to potentially harm other people to actually honor myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is also something that I have a challenge with as well. There's, as we're talking about this, I'm reminded of a conversation that we were having a couple days ago when we went to some flower fields. Just walking around
millions
fields
of
flowers. And
some good pictures.
Yeah. We were talking about community. At one point, we were having a discussion about community in Los Angeles and how you really, I want you to speak to it, but you came here and didn't have this community, and you've worked really hard to get this community, and I am curious about what kind of communities you have gotten into that are feeling really good for you and that are like matching you on a level that you want to be met at.
I lived in LA for a few years before the pandemic. I moved here in 2017 from Berlin and hated it. I hated it. My first year was awful. There's something about LA that's like different than any other city I've lived in, which is that it's such a car-centric city, and it's polycentric, meaning there's not one like downtown. Berlin is also polycentric, but there's lots of public transport and people walk and bike everywhere. So you have this feeling of being part of like an organism of a city, and you like can discover the place on foot, and you can bump into people. And here, because it's just people drive their cars everywhere. It's like I arrived here, and it's like I needed to have a destination in mind when I stepped out the door. It's like I needed an address for the Uber or my car. And like, you're not bumping into people casually, you know, it's like people leave their house, get in their car, go to a place, destinate. And when you just arrive and you don't know where to be going, and there's not these sort of communal gathering places, like, I don't know, like in Europe, there's like town squares and centers, and like, you know, there's like those parks in New York, and like people just congregate, you know, and that it's just like, where is that here? I like couldn't figure it out. And I wasn't in a school program, and I wasn't in a job in an office. And I was like, man, like I'm in my early 30s at the time. Like, how do I freaking meet people? This is really isolating. But then I found tango. So my first community in LA was Argentine tango community. Really love tango. It's sort of it's an improvised social dance. It's sort of like the jazz of the social dances. And that was great. But then those are like people I love. And then the pandemic happened. I went back to the farm where I grew up for 2 years and 2.5 years. And I started working with plant medicine on the farm. Not on the farm, but during that period
while you
of
were
time.
living on the farm.
Well, I was during that time. And meeting different, again, like a sort of different community of people with different standards of like just the idea of checking in, doing like a check-in was like new to me. That could be just a normalized part of friendship or any type of interaction. Like you know, people having enough emotional fluency, and not just like the ability to do that in like a therapy session, but just baked into like the seamlessness of how they might interact with someone, you know, in a social setting. that was pretty game changing for me. And I'm rambling. I'm making this such a long story.
It's great.
But yeah, then I fell in love with someone. I got devastatingly heartbroken and drove back across the country, world's saddest road trip, back out to LA in October.
Saddest road trip. Sorry.
Saddest road trip. It was the saddest cross country road trip. Yeah.
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at it, but I'm not laughing at it.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, and I like came back here again, just like a shell of myself. No, like, lowest sense of self-worth that I can recall. No, like my internal, like my sense of like, can I trust my intuition? Can I trust, like, I'd really like trusted this person, like opened my heart like fully for the first time, and then like the feeling was like the temple got kind of desecrated, it was like, and then it was like, fuck, like I really went all in on that. And it's like, if I felt those are all the things that made me feel safe, like I can't trust myself to keep myself safe. Like I'm like, it was a big mistrust of my intuition. And then it was like really hard to know. I just felt so raw. And I also was like wanting to find ways to lean into my sensitivity, like wanting to actually heal and do work there rather than just like armor up, barricade off. Is she making this impossible?
I'm just worried that
the cables. There's a lot of cables.
Yeah,
there's a lot of cables.
Leah is walking around through the gear, and she's a big dog.
Well, she's a medium.
She's
dog.
a medium dog. Yeah. Okay, I keep getting corrected on that. Does she just want a toy? Is that what she's like? Or is she just curious?
I'm not sure if she knows. Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you just... Down. Let me just see if I can... I'm thinking like an editor right now. I'm like, let me make this a little bit more of a morsel. You can jump in again. Yeah, so I moved back out here after the pandemic in October, just like shell myself, super heartbroken, world's saddest road trip across the country with my dog. And I was looking for places to, that could like be with me in my sensitivity, where I wouldn't have to armor up in connection. And I like was having actually a hard time. Like I remember I was invited to some different Friendsgivings, and I actually turned all of the invites down, not because I didn't care about those people, but like I was at a place where like my boundary setting wasn't great. I was feeling really raw, and it was going to be too uncomfortable for like I just didn't know at that point how to be in like I wasn't willing to be like someone asked me, I'm fine, not really wanting to get into it, and be like, yeah, everything's like, that was going to be too stressful. Like I couldn't just do that thing, you know? And so I was like trying to be in places where it was like there was space for capacity and interest, like consent also, right? Like places where self-selecting people are like choosing to be interacting in a way that's not our default cultural norm. And I went to a plant medicine ceremony. Was one of the, like, I was only been out here for a couple weeks. In LA. Well, outside of LA in November with like it was a big one. There was like a bunch of people there. And I was looking for integration practices afterwards, because like I'd pretty much only encountered this type of like baseline of like, oh, we're going to interact and we're going to check in and we're going to be like really actually with what's here in plant medicine spaces. But it was like, man, like, I can't just go to plant medicine ceremonies all the time just for the social. That's not the right orientation for that. And you know, it's like, so I was trying to figure out like, how can I have more of that in my day-to-day life? And I met this guy Kadar, and he was like, well, you should come to circling sometimes. He's a facilitator of a relational meditation practice called circling. It's also known as relatefulness. And
I haven't heard that relatefulness.
Yeah. There's that's, I don't want to go down the whole bandwagon of why there's a couple names right now, but there's a couple names for things. Essentially the same practice, great practice. There's a weird like trademark thing happening right now. But like great practice. It's like some of that. But the practice itself is amazing. And I like went to this gathering of like I just went to a Thursday night at his house where people were gathering for this practice of circling, and I'm so tired. I'm like already tired telling the story. I'm like trying to figure out how to make this shorter, and I'm just not making it any shorter. I'm like, God, I care about this practice. I want to represent this practice well on the podcast for the people that might be interested, and I feel fatigued, and that's going to come through, and the people are going to think the thing is not interesting. And I'm like, I'm just trying to say that I met some people in LA that I felt really great with was the question. And I haven't been interviewed in a while, Joel.
That's great.
No, my dog's harassing you.
This is incredible.
All these things are happening right now.
You're fun to hug because you're so medium-sized.
Yeah. She's so medium-sized. Yeah.
Why? Get up there.
Get up.
Yeah, now we're talking. Oh. Right in the mouth. My favorite.
Hey, Leah, ease it up. He doesn't want it in your mouth. Leah. We're like.
She's like, I want attention. It's happening right now. Okay, let's pause on that. Thank you.
Can you lay down? Yeah.
All right.
Jesus,
suck
Joel,
it up.
I'm sorry.
Just suck it up.
I'm sorry.
She's
this
on
is
it.
Such a train wreck of a
Licking me everywhere.
I'm so sorry.
It's a.
Leah, we might have to put you back in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's time. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Come on, Leah. Come on. You just wanted to know what it was like to find community. I don't know, man. I can't tell a story right now. Is that what you wanted me to do on this podcast? Tell coherent stories about my life.
It was a coherent story, so I will give you that.
Too many details. What I actually want to orient around is like the aliveness of the moment, because like I think part of what was happening there is I'm getting into like I've told these stories a few times to other people, like the story of how I like found more community in LA, and I was getting stuck in that and then like losing here.
Okay.
Like what, I don't know what parts of that actually feel like, I wasn't really asking myself the question, like what parts of that actually feel alive right now, like, and maybe it's a different answer to that question, I don't know, it's like we have to start over kind of thing, but like I want to change my internal orientation to be a little bit more like circling, actually, where I'm just like, what feels alive right now, which is kind of like a unending check-in.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know.
Let's do that.
I'm with how interesting it is to me that, like, you know, we've been hanging out for a few days now here during this visit, and like it's been a joy. So much wonderful conversation and like endless capacity and attention and awareness to like be in that with you.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wow, what is happening in that moment that like my sensory feeling was just this like fatigue. Like it's not really about you, you know? Because like we can definitely do this and have it feel really alive, and I feel like endlessly sourced. But like, what is it about all of this and the way that I was doing that where I just feel it's a familiar kind of like drained, like why bother, futility, exhaustion. Yeah, having trouble accessing life sources. Like what am I tapping into when I do that leaves me feeling so drained versus when there's beautiful flow of energy and I just feel enlivened by the thing itself, by the conversation. And it's not something you were doing, it's definitely something I was doing. I'm making that story, making it up.
Right. Yeah.
Like
any thoughts on that? Any insights?
Yeah, I think it was when I start thinking about this faceless other, this faceless other audience. Man, That's it. I hate being on camera because I love being on stage. Love being in front of a room full of actual human beings who I can actually feel and sense in the space. And this like void thing, fuck.
What does it feel like?
Cold, unspecific. I'm not getting fed by it. There's no energy coming towards me. I can't sense engagement or not engagement, which makes it harder for me to discern when something I'm saying has like collective value, potentially, you know, versus just like rambling. And then also the voidness of it, it's like a black mirror where like all of my meanest inner voices that I've internalized, I think originally from outside of me. I mean, there's like a lot of, I mean, everybody knows the internet, right? We've all been there.
We've all been there.
You know, it's like, it's just like I can project onto that, you know, black canvas. Just like the least charitable possible interpretations of anything I do or say or appear. Yeah. It's like I can feel warmth from an audience and I feel no warmth from hi.
I keep hearing the word support system, or maybe the system doesn't even have to be involved, but support. And when you're in front of that audience, especially when you're in front of the audience with your harp, something that you're so deeply connected to and like in, and you can drop into a zone, and then also that it's like this interactive engagement with the audience of them feeding off of you and you feeding off them, and it's just there's a support there.
Yeah,
there's a support there, and here is literally 3 dark eyes.
Well, if you want to get technical, there's like 3 cameras on each, so it's like 9.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh no, that was just the one. It's a lot though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, like a huge fear of mine. Like I don't know. I want it to be a symbiosis when I'm on stage, which I think it is because I care so much about that, you know. Like there's a really big difference between getting up on stage and like needing the audience just feed you, like feed your void and feed your ego, and then like the version where like you're getting up on stage and you're like asking for the attention and energy, and then you're like taking it in and then like doing something with it and then serving it back out, and they like it's this like Ouroboros of like, that's a beautiful fucking energy exchange.
That is a better you described better what I was talking about with support. That is what I mean. And
like that can happen here. I can like, I know how to make that energy flow thing. I know how to like, and like this, it's just like there's this weird like drain. There's just this weird like that I get nothing back from, that just feels like almost like the Dementors like feeding on me.
It's a cold energy.
It's like a cold one. Yeah. And I've never known how to like there are many people that can like look at that camera and just like feel warmth behind it and talk to it like it's their best friend and feel, I don't know. It's like I've sort of gotten comfortable being on Zoom, you know, and like Zoom also does like a little bit to help you out, and like I know what angle with my laptop can sort of work with Zoom. And even with that, like I've had a couple work calls in the last week where like I've actually had to do some like typing and thinking, which I hate doing when I'm on Zoom meetings. I want to just be present and like on camera with people, right? And then like oh, and then make this face, you know, this like and I'm like, and then I catch that, I'm like, oh no, you know, it's like the fear of you know, if you ever like looked at your phone and then like you were just scrolling on Instagram and then you accidentally hit the camera and like that face stared back up at you. It's like, I don't know if I've ever done you've never really?
I don't know if I've ever done that.
Oh my god, really? Okay. Yeah, it's it's just like the default assumption is that it's like that's like, I don't know, I was like this tapped in with you for a while and I was like, oh, I might have just been making that face for like 5 minutes straight, and that's what's captured and that's what's out in the world. and I have no way to monitor or check it, and that's going to be frozen forever, and that's going to be what people relate to when they see me, and that it's also it's not going to be okay how I look, and it's going to be a barrier to connection or a barrier to being seen and liked and appreciated. Like feeling like my body and my face, specifically in certain angles and certain, like, it doesn't feel static to me, like the way I look. It feels, I think we call that body dysmorphia. But it's like I really don't trust cameras, because sometimes I can see a video or a photo in a certain lighting in a certain angle, and it's like, wow, I look better than I've ever looked in my life. Like, oh, is that what I look like? And then like a second later, same day, same shoot, different angle, different moment, like horrifying to me, you know? And it's like, and like looks like a different human. And then it's like, wait, and then I'm ungrounded. Then it's like, I don't know what I look like. Which of these things is true? You know, how am I perceived? How am I moving through the world? And then, yeah, I have some specific experiential trauma of like really feeling like treated very differently depending on what weight I'm at, you know, at different points in my life. And also I've had really bad psoriasis and acne on my face. So like that experience of like really like can't cover up my face, you know, and like making eye contact with people and just feeling like I've got this mask on and they cannot see me at all. Just like this sort of gargoyle walking around, you know. And that pain, it starts young, and it's like I hit puberty way earlier than my peers in like 4th grade, and I had horrible cystic acne, you know, before anybody was like, you know, sprouting a pube. And it was brutal, you know, it was brutal. And it was like a lot of kids were like, oh, what's on your face? You know, like they weren't even necessarily trying to bully me in the way that like full-blown middle schoolers might. But I mean, I felt like a leper, you know? Yeah. So all of that comes up with cameras.
I was really feeling for how old are you in 4th grade? 10?
I don't even know, whatever that age is. Yeah.
I was 10 in 4th grade, so I'm just putting that on you.
10, 11? 11 probably.
Like that's what, about 2 years before everybody else starts getting.
Yeah.
Is that scary?
Yeah. I mean, was it scary? I don't know, when you say scary, I'm holding that in a different way. Like I think of like, oh, like needing to run from something, or like feeling like imperiled, and that's not exactly the thing. That's not exactly the feeling.
Okay, scary isn't the right word, but it's I guess ungrounding is the like
not secure in my body.
Yeah.
Not secure in like this vessel. Yeah, the insecure. This vessel that I've been given to like interact with the world with feels has often felt I don't know, it's so complicated. Like there's so many ways in that I'm like, in which I'm such a deeply sensual creature. Like I can really fucking play the harp, you know, like I can really be present and alive in my body to do this very nuanced, complicated thing. And I can sing, and I can be really embodied in that way. And I've always actually felt really connected. Well, that's a big statement, but like I can be in my skin with other humans in like physical contact and dance and with food. Like I love like nuanced flavors and cooking, and like so there's lots of ways I can be in my skin and in my body in like a really alive, specific way. And I'm really grateful for this like way that I can interact with other people in the world that, like, you know, if you're just a spirit without a body, you don't get to do. But then there's also all these ways in which my body, and specifically its appearance and the instability I feel, and like that's where I have insecurity. It's not just insecurity about how I look, but like insecurity of not even knowing how I look most of the time. And how it's something in that piece, like that can have such a high consequence in how I am received. Feels scary, like something that is not fully in my control can have such a big impact versus like me, you know, like whether or not someone can see me or whether or not I can feel seen or received. Yeah. Like, it's both the way that I have to be connected, and it's often been a barrier to connection. It feels like both those things.
Yeah. Wait, say that one more time.
My body is both the instrument I have to be in connection with the world and other humans, and it is also a thing that has felt at various points like a barrier to connection. But it's both of those things.
Constant battle.
Yeah.
This kind of actually brings me back to the question about the people, the community you found here. I recall you saying to me earlier this week, you feel really seen by these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool that in a city, Los Angeles, that is, we talked about this, like, is kind of like a mecca of like culturally exporting a lot of toxic culture, a lot of culture that's like harmed me actively, specifically growing up, you know, and that I assumed when I moved here, and that I avoided moving here for years because of it. I assumed it was going to be really superficial and really judgy and like a cesspool of just like, I'm not going to be welcome or seen because I don't look the way that, you know, most Hollywood stars look anyway. And there's an uncanny number of like symmetrically featured, like very fit people in the city. but you know, so I just thought, I was like, oh, this is like going to be the hardest place for me to like feel seen and safe and feel seen. And instead I found all these beautifully heart-centered people who I feel really deeply seen and appreciated by, and including my body, like who really like the way my body looks, which is kind of baffling also sometimes, you know. Sometimes when it's like, there are times when I feel really beautiful and desirable. It's just rarely times that I've seen myself on camera. Like, that's sort of the thing. It's like I don't want to be unseated. Like, it's like just last night I went to this awesome rope jam, like intro to shibari workshop, and you know, felt super comfortable in my skin and like felt really connected with all these people, and like was able to like relax into that, and you know, and then like next day, boom, cameras, like, oh no, like it's like such like getting a cold plunge into how uncomfortable I feel and like in my skin right now, you know. I was like, how could I have just touched that last night, you know, and really received from people how beautiful they found me, and then just be boom right back into this. It's like, golly.
How would you feel about receiving some energy work?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a reasonable moment for that.
Would you like to set an intention?
I'm like, I'm in that place of like feeling, like this weary creature. In this moment, and like how much this still feels like such a drain, how much like room for self-doubt this format opens up in me all of a sudden, which is not, I like to think, my baseline. It's certainly not where I live all the time. And so I think my intention is something around like maybe patch some of those holes, like maybe like find ways where like those drains can be like intakes for life force instead, something like that. Just being maybe reconnected with life force, my sense of sourcing, and that. It sounds corny, it's not quite it. It's in that area. Something about being held, maybe just being allowed to be weary, maybe that being okay. I don't know. Maybe it's the wrong orientation to try to fix it. I do feel burned out. feel tired, yeah. I don't want to come out of this just like a leaky boat with some patches on it. Like, that doesn't feel like a great, you know what I mean? I'm like, what is not quite it about that? Yeah, beauty's got to be part of this. Like, there's something not really beautiful about like a boat that just got some like spackle jobs, you know? It's like I want to be in touch with my beauty as well, I think. Something about life force and beauty and fatigue.
Okay.
That's my intention.
Yeah.
Something about life force, beauty, and fatigue.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Leave it to the angels. Figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I've been working real hard for a long time. You figure it out.
I think that goes along with your intention of being allowed to be weary.
Yeah.
I'm weary. You figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Let's do it.
Cool. Yeah. Great.
Okay, we will be right back after Gillian's 13th octave La Ho Chi session. And we are back from Gillian's 13th octave La Ho Chi session. Hi.
Hi.
How you feeling?
Oof. I'm just going to try to describe some sensations that happened during the
Great.
thing.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm wanting to do that because it feels a little bit like waking up and like trying to remember your dreams. And I've been practicing that, but it's like it feels important to but like it'll slip away if I don't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much of it that's in that liminal state, and there's a lot of it that that I just let slip away, you know, in the moment. Like, didn't even stay long enough to allow to anchor in a memory because I wanted to stay in the flow of the thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple things. One was that there was a moment where it felt like, I think your hands might have been on my shoulders, but it felt like energy was being squeezed out of my arms like toothpaste. Like,
whoa.
My arms are like a tube of toothpaste. And it's just like, and my hands felt kind of like numb, actually, like sort of frozen. And it was just like this energy was just being like, it wasn't necessarily comfortable, but it was vivid. And there was another vivid thing close towards the end. This one was weird. It felt like your hands were elsewhere, but it felt like some other like hands like just were like, okay, just hang tight here, bear with me, and like just like grabbed here like my third eye and like yanked it out a little bit like a ball, like an eyeball in a socket, and like wiggled around like and then like cleaned out some gunk. Like it was not comfortable. So let me just wiggle this around. That was a lot.
2 for 2. You're like, this happened. It wasn't really comfortable. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt really like heavy and almost like corpse-like in the bed, just like really like not like dead, but like my body was just like I might have been carved out of stone kind of thing. For I don't always feel that way, but I felt like really and then the other thing that's vivid is just the warmth of your hands. Like, it's wild the temperature that like radiates from your hands when you're doing that. It's like whoa, that's a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Those are some pretty, like, what's the word? Vivid is the word. Vivid experiences.
Yeah. And there's more coming back now too. There's anger was there. Anger was there, and yeah, I still had some anger with you actually from before the session. And for how much that thing that you brought up was like, it's taking up so much space taking up so much space in my consciousness, and it's like, God damn it, why am I having to hold this thing in my healing session again? And just like trying to, like, every time that popped up, clear it out. And yeah, there was like anger at how much energy that was taking. Yeah, how much space.
Is there still some now?
If there is, it doesn't feel alive in the way that it did. Like, I guess I'm just talking about it, you know, but like I'm either dissociated from it or it's just not as loud right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this is the first time on the podcast that someone has been holding some anger towards me, and it's new. It's new, but welcome. It's welcome, and I understand why it's there. So, yeah.
How is that for you?
Surprisingly, in this moment, before when you first brought it to me, I was really like, oh man, and I really felt what had happened. At this moment, I'm not really feeling much effect from your experience of having anger for me, towards me. And I love that you're so able to tell me. Like, there's something about that just feels so. It feels good in my system to have someone be able to just be like, I still am holding anger to you, and say it in such a way that, like, you're actually holding the anger.
Yeah.
And it's not. So you're not like,
I'm not blasting.
Yeah, you're not blasting me with it. So I feel safe in you expressing that you're angry with me. I don't necessarily need to feel safe. Now that I'm looking, I don't need to feel safe that you're expressing anger in me. If it comes out and you're not holding, and like it, like, that's welcome. I feel like that's welcome, and I think I can hold that.
Yeah, I don't feel that here right now. I like, just like, oh, that'd be cool to, like, but I don't have it.
Yeah, it'd be really awesome. It'd be really awesome to blast Joel with some anger.
No, I just mean, like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Immediate case study, but no, it's not here.
Yeah.
It's not here.
Yeah. You know, and there's still some. There's, you know, I know what I did. I'm very aware of what happened, and I see where I misstepped, and yeah. I'm not dwelling on it, but I know that I did that, and I'm fully acknowledge it, and I take full responsibility for that.
I don't even need this much from you. Like,
yeah.
Like, I got like, when I saw in your eyes that you got it when I first brought it to you, that's all I needed.
Cool. Great. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was clear in your eyes that, like, you saw it, you understood why there was impact of it, and, like, would do it differently next time. Great. Check.
Sweet. Yeah.
It's like yeah, there was still some residual stuff in there because it was like, oh, this is like part of my session, but it's like, but I don't actually need you to do any more. It's just like energy that has to move.
Gotcha.
I don't need you to do more work for it.
Got it.
Yeah. And I think it moved. Yeah.
Where was it? Where were you holding it?
I don't know. I don't know that I can retrieve that piece from that experience. I know that there was, in the top, there was stuff in my jaw. It was a lot of, like, it was not comfortable. Like, I had you do this once before. I don't remember everything about that session either. There was a lot of pressure. Like, it felt actually more like, it felt less like we talked about patching holes earlier, or patching drains. It felt less like that and more like pulling things out of me, like squeezing or pulling or like removing stuff from me. And I felt this like, oh, there's like a lot here, and there's like a lot here. So like that process wasn't like excruciating or anything, but it was like I was aware of like pressure. Yeah. Density. Yeah.
It does feel like a better, a nicer image than just patching holes. You know?
Being squeezed like a toothpaste? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Having someone jiggling their third eye? Is that a greater image? I don't know. Is that nicer?
It is to me. It is to me. It's like it gives me a sense. Oh, I'm not leaking. You know. Yeah. If it was me, I would be like, I'm not leaking. I'm just holding things that don't need to be held.
Yeah, that feels true. It doesn't feel so much like a leak, so much as like I am like belabored. Like I'm like just like being saturated or carrying more. It's like stuff that needs to. It's heavy. It's just like a lot of weight, a lot of energy. It's like no wonder I'm tired.
No wonder, yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll keep squeegeeing that stuff out. Lighten the load.
Lighten the load. Sorry, just
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that's exactly what. Every time that comes up, I'm like, oh my, I'm right in Lord of the Rings.
But it's my burden to carry, Joe.
Well, I can't carry your burden, but I can carry you.
Heard that before. Tell you what, not everyone's a Samwise Gamgee.
It's true. It's true. He's a 1 in a million. That one.
Yeah, it's a good egg. It's a good egg.
Oh, you were so still.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had a couple deep breaths and a sound here and there, but yeah, you were so still. Yeah. It's nice to me. It felt relaxing on my end.
You're
just getting like your third eye popped out of the socket, shaking around.
Like, this is great spot treatment for me.
I'm like, this is uncomfortable. There was this is something that came up for me. Right at the end for the Angels of Light, it got really loud. Yeah,
a little small elephant stampede upstairs.
Upstairs there was what you said, small elephant stampede, and Leah was crying. And a sound came on outside. Oh, a plane flew over.
Like a chopper or a plane, and then like some other yippy dogs were yapping outside. It was a lot all at once.
All at once. I was just like, what? Like, there's something, and I'm just like, there's something to be learned or seen. There's something to be learned or shown to us about, I don't know what, but through this podcast with all the distractions and noises and stuff that have been happening. Something.
I was just checking out where I'd hit my foot on the crate.
Oh yeah, and then
that happened.
And then we moved.
I had this epiphany during the session. I was like, oh, I know the third option for Leah, where she's not like creating chaos in here or crying because she's like separated from us in the bedroom.
Yeah,
I'll create her, and then she can be in the space but contained. And then I went to get the crate. Like, it was the first thing I did right after the session. And then like almost immediately after that, I like stubbed my ankle on the corner of this thing and like scraped several layers of skin off my foot. Man. You know,
it's just, what is that?
Yeah, but look, she's happy. It worked. We should have started here.
Yeah. She's happier.
Happier.
This is what was with the Angels of Light thing. As all that chaos was happening, the sense I was getting about them doing their work on you while that was happening was they were just, it was like a reassurance. There's like, distractions, intensity, stuff will be happening outside, and we got you, and there is a way to be grounded, and
yeah, I felt awareness of all those noises and things happening, and even Leah, and I was also still very much in the container of the thing. Yeah. That's not an unfamiliar space, energetic space for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Meaning you've, it's familiar to have a bunch of things going on and being able to and stay in your.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that, is that something that's in your day-to-day life like that, or when you're in healing sessions or plant medicine sessions?
Certainly healing sessions, plant medicine sessions, also circling sessions, also more and more. And also when I'm playing harp on stage, it's like that. There's can be infinite amounts of chaos happening, and I'm here in the song and the weave of it and tracking. And it's also just part of a meditational state that I can enter into, and it's a state I can be in conversation with someone in a busy cafe. It's in my life a lot, and sometimes it's just a place in my mind with all the stuff happening. I think it's like I feel grounded right now. I feel that sometimes I call it my column of dignity, like my center. That space where I can be in like one of my sanctums. I think there's a few. And it's not like I have to be cut off from all the stuff that's happening. Like I'm not cut off, but there's like a solidity to me in the center of that, and I'm tapped into that right now in a way that that was part of what I was not able to access earlier from the there was just too many different shakes between like the thing that happened before this podcast that we're I'm sorry, it must be frustratingly oblique to anyone listening. There was that, which kind of like tipped over the edge what I was already anticipating having to deal with, which was my own personal PTSD baggage, whatever, with cameras being recorded. It was just like one marble too many to be juggling. Yeah.
Why?
A bowling ball.
Yeah. It was not
not a marble.
It wasn't a marble.
Yeah.
It was like you were juggling, and I was like, "Hey, let's add this in the mix," and just
it's like, why'd you throw me that eggplant, Joel?
Why? Tell me about the column of dignity. Where does that name come from? That you call it that? Is it a way that you get there? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's my name for it, as far as I know. I'm like, there's the collective unconscious is possible somewhere else, somewhere out there is calling it the same thing, but I haven't heard them yet. But it's just the best. It's the words that have come to me when I've been trying to like name a thing, name this thing, and it feels like it's like a column, like a core, like someone might take a core sample of ice or something, but it's not icy. But it's like about this big. Sometimes it can change diameter, but like as a baseline, it's kind of about this big, and it sort of runs up my chakras basically and up my spine, from my sacrum up and then out through the top of my head, and it's my center, and it's the place where it's like I matter, like I really matter, my experience really matters, and other people's experience really matters. It can be in like it's also the place of like I'm so much in my mattering. Your mattering doesn't threaten this. It's like there's room for me to hold. It's a place from when I'm centered in this, when I'm grounded in this and connected to this, I have a lot of capacity for holding multiple experiences and my own, even when they're dissonant, even when there's conflict or concurrent dissonant truths or realities. And when I'm less in this, I'm more in need of external validation and reassurance, which is not a bad thing in my book. Can become a problem, but like I don't think it inherently is to need sometimes. Like there's certain wounds and triggers. It's like a practice of, I don't know. Sometimes I think there's some wounds and some triggers that I've really expanded my capacity to stay in this place with. And then there's some where it's still, I need a lot of support. Yeah. This camera thing being one where it's like, wow, I can't find the center at all. Yeah. I need help grounding.
I love this column of dignity that you have.
Thank you. Me too.
And even the way you're sitting as opposed to before we did the healing session is different, and is so lifted and more confident and calm and very like I can feel that you are here with me. It's really cool.
Yeah, and like the more time I spend here, the like, wow, it's so jarring. Like even when I'm out of it a little bit, I can usually find my way back here. I've been working really hard, like to like have my my little like cairns, my little light wayposts, my little like, oh, there's the tether. I can there's the rope to get myself back here. I was like trying to do that earlier, and I just couldn't. I was just like really in a pit, really far from it. Just not even a pit, just like the void, surely if I keep doing this, I'll find, but I'm realizing I spend a lot more of my time here now than I used to than in previous years. And so like to be thrown back so far into that other space was pretty intense. And there's a lot of places in my life right now where I am doing active void spelunking, and it is overwhelming and intense, and sometimes I need to call on friends for help to ground me, to help me stay tethered to this body, this life, this worthiness of being alive, of staying in, of being in this body, this lifetime, this experience, that it does matter.
Is it
just easy to lose track of in the void?
Yeah. Is how is it asking friends for help when is that a challenge, or are you in a place where it's easier to ask for a friend, like I'm in a void and I really could use some help getting out?
It is the easiest it has ever been. Which is not to say that there aren't. It's really wild to me. It's such an altered state when I'm in that void, overwhelmed place. And there's so many trickster voices in that space too, and like other voices. It's like sometimes I think about it like being in like a bog, and like there's lights to follow and lights not to follow, and suddenly it gets really confusing. Like, do I follow, is that a light that I should trust and follow, or is that going to lead me to my death? Or is this the light that I can trust and follow and it's going to lead me back to like safety? And suddenly my compass is all haywire, and my discernment tool is like, wow, I'm in a place I just don't know what to trust right now. And that can include like, wow, like it sounds like a good idea for me to call this friend who I've built a lot of trust with in this relationship, and I like all the evidence says like that this person would really be able to hold me in this and meet me in this and be trustworthy and help like just remind me of commitments to myself and perspectives I've had when I've been in more clarity. And yet in that space there's all these voices of like, oh, like any shadow wound thing ever emerges, it's just like, oh, you're going to be too much, or that's going to cost you the connection. If you reach for help here, it's going to fry the whole connection and be too much, and you're going to lose that friend if you do this, or like you have to, the shame voice comes in you, this has to be, keep it secret, keep it safe, nobody allowed, a lot of Lord of the Rings references popping up today. So good. And my judgment gets faulty. It's like, I got sober from pot in the last month. I'm had a ceremony in February. It was like, I've been talking about this actually for a while, and it's like really anchored in a recent ceremony. And there's been a few days in particular over the past month that have just been like, oh wow, it was a coin toss, and really becoming also like paradoxically in the moment how much my like rationalization like siren voice of like, this is not a big deal, this is not a huge problem, this is legal, this is not going to destroy your life. Like, you should just go have a joint right now. Like, go down the block and get some. And it's like having a glass of wine. What's the big fucking deal? Like, you're making the I lied to you, and don't take her literally anyway, because that's the wrong way to orient around plant medicine. And like, what the fuck? Like, this is, you're just like, yeah, you can take a break. You deserve a break from this, you know? Like, and like in that space to like be like, do I listen to that, which sounds really believable, compelling right now, or do I listen to the me earlier that was like, found all these reasons why I didn't want this to be like, my relationship with this plant is not okay. Not that the plant itself is necessarily not okay, but my relationship to it is not okay. And I'm not actually, it's in a compulsive place, and I'm not actually in a seat of power there. And it is causing me harm. And I have a value for staying conscious. And I have a value for protecting my voice and my lungs. And trying to like grow, expand. And that for all those reasons, it's best for me not to reach for this plant. Because the ways I've been reaching for it have been really toxic. Anyway, in that moment, yes, I have chosen to reach for friends, and it was easier than, I mean, I did it. Let's put it that way. I did that choice instead of not, which is new.
Cool. That's cool.
I wouldn't call it easy.
Yeah.
But it is the move I've been making more recently.
It's great. It's great.
and you know, it's just like, I do feel really grateful how many people are in my life right now, that I had such a list of people to choose from, actually, in that moment, who I could trust with this thing. And then it was a choice of further refinement. It's like, wow, there were like all these different people that I felt like I could reach out to, who would probably still love me if I reached out to them, and probably would have the capacity to hold me and meet me in this, actually, you know, it wouldn't overwhelm their systems. And then it was like, okay, actually, let's refine that list. Like, I also want someone who's dealt with addiction, like who has been in this particular, even if it's not with pot specifically, who do I know that's like been through a sobriety journey? And there were multiple choices for that. I was like, oh my God, you know? And then it was like, who right now in this moment feels like the person I want to reach out to? You know, like I got to go through that whole,
that's
like,
so
what a, you know, for all that there's some places with scarcity in my life right now, like what a place of abundance that I'm in right now in that. And I'm so grateful for all these amazing humans in my life and all of the work I've done to build those connections and the trust. Like, I've banked a lot of trust and built a lot of mutual trust and joy and giggles and all the things. And yeah, that feels really good. That feels really good.
It's definitely worth a celebration. Definitely. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I was seeing when you were doing the in the decision of smoke or don't smoke. I was getting those two lights again. You like following the two lights. That's what you're talking about, right? Those are the two lights. Those are the two paths. Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I was just thinking one more thing. It's wild to me, like, and it's great to have so much evidence to like hold up to this voice when it emerges to point to the contrary. But like, it's wild to me even now with like how much like real deeply loving friendships I have in my life right now. Still there's like a voice that's pretty potent, that's still loud and present, that like sometimes whispers in my ear that everybody secretly hates me. It's like I haven't had evidence for that to be true. Like, I don't know, it probably stems from some early like middle school wound or something, or like even elementary school wound of like, I don't know, I don't even know totally where that comes from, but it's not been true for so long. Like all it's just not, there's been nothing to back that up for so long, and it's still a voice that like has a seat at my like inner council table and like gets a lot of airtime. It's like, why do you, wow, that's persistent. Yeah.
That reminds me of something that I was going to say earlier. When you're like, oh, you're talking about the column of dignity.
Yeah.
And the things you're able to hold, and even things about yourself that you've looked at and you're able to hold better, and then the camera thing where it still needs work, and then this voice that's still up there, and I was thinking about loving oneself, last week, and how when we come, I think I even said this to you earlier this week. Often people come to, when they start their healing journey, they're like, I want to love myself.
Yeah, you did say this.
Yeah. But there's so many parts of ourselves.
So many.
There's so many parts, and it's part by part. It really is part by part.
It's like part by part, and then it's also like parts work part by part, many inner children part by part, all sorts of guardians of wounds and protectors. I'm gonna lay claim to the phrase guardians of wounds. That's one of mine too. I'm gonna write about at some point. And that voice is the guardian of a wound that's been taken advantage of a few times. I wanted to like save the credit myself there.
You're like, in fact, Joel, edit that out so that nobody hears it until I write about it.
No, I'm just naming that's why I named that.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's a whole rabbit hole. Uncredited. There's a gender wounded there. There's like women writing their husbands' books and papers and work while watching children. Anyway, that's a long. That's like, I have a personal lived wound that like connects to like thousands of years of collective women's pain. Anyway, one of those ones. That's it. Yep, one of those.
The next podcast.
Next podcast. Yeah, where I don't remember where it's going. But then there's also like, then I also think about it like all the parts of myself to love. It's like I'm thinking about like my gut bacteria, like my microbiome, like all the like the way that we're like, in a way we're ants on like, you know, on the universal scale, but then like you can go out even further and it's like my whole body is like an entire galaxy and planet to like this whole drama of like, you know, microscopic activity. Like I'm the habitat of like a lot, and like there's ways in which my, you know, like I have psoriasis, and there's some research that talks about that being linked to like gut microbiome stuff. They don't really know, it's autoimmune, right? So it's you know, and there's Gabor Mate, and there's also, I think they're all kind of probably have some truth in it, you know. And but I'm like, wow, like how do I fix whatever war may be waging in my gut or in my like immune system that it's like attacking itself, and like how do I, you know, like both with real medicines and with like plants and food and with energy and love and like all of the things and relationships and boundaries and anger and like, you know, like the whole thing.
Cool.
Yeah, all those parts.
Without
siloing one off. Or,
you know.
I
love that you added that, because I was just thinking it in terms of like wounded parts and those little emotional parts of us, but all the physical parts, all the energetic parts, all the little things that's so cool. I love that galaxy.
Yeah.
We're walking galaxies.
Yeah. It's another essay about my body I haven't written yet. So much work to do.
You're gathering intel.
I have the intel. It's what I'm weighed down with, that I just like, this is, I don't know, I read actually a post somewhere on Instagram about like how like, man, if you're like creative spirits that aren't like doing their creative practices are just like so fucking sick, because they're just like there's like all this stuck energy that you're not, and yeah, that feels true.
He's like, I relate to that.
Wish this felt less resonant. Yeah. It's like that would be one of my ways to self-squeegee. You know, if I can get some of those. It's such a labyrinth of artist wounds there too. But yeah, if I can get some of those creative blockages healed up enough to be flowing channels again, or it feels safe to do that.
I was leaping into the experience of what the experience might be like of when those creative channels, at least one or two of them pop open again, like in my body I was going, oh. I want that to happen for you.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah. I think like what's coming to me is I have to think of it in a different way, like not like a there's the valve, you know, because one, I think that'd be overwhelming, and two, it's like so high stakes. It's like I think what I've actually seen in myself, and what I mean, maybe eventually there'll be enough momentum that it can get to that place where it works that way, and there's that much like water flowing through or whatever energy. But it's like it seems like so a bit of a paradox of so much of the work of getting there has just been like trying to lower the stakes, actually. Like I talk a lot about, or I think a lot about being all hair and no tortoise, you know, but this feels like real tortoise work, this type of healing, you know. And as in, like, you know, I've never been someone that just practices 20 minutes a day. I'm someone who like won't play for a few days and then will play like 5 hours, you know. And that's just how I've been my whole life. I'm ADD. It's just like how I've always worked, you know, and big, you know, fits and starts and then lulls. But there is I was just thinking about how, like, you know, I was in such a bad place with my artist wound a few years ago that I you know, I'd started journaling when I was in 3rd grade, you know, and then stopped at sometime around 2017. I was like, that was like in the real, right in the thick of the like trauma of my artist wound from a few fronts, and I stopped journaling, and it was really scary. It was like, oh my God, like, what if I'm never able to, like, I would sit down and like try to write and I couldn't even do that, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't even find that inner voice, like even the private one on a page. And when I first where I met you, you know, when I first started sitting with plant medicine, and I had to think of there was like an application, I had to think of an intention for my first ceremony in the application. I was like, there were so many things I wanted to work on. There was so much that needed looking at, and I decided to put my artist wound healing. I wanted to heal my artist wound, and I put that because I had a hunch that all paths would converge there, which has been true. And the triage has been to first work with my body, like in the triage of like, okay, here's the emergency room, like what do we gotta, it's like actually body, you gotta really the relationship with your body first. And but all that to say, like I started journaling again little bit by bit, even though it felt impossible. I think it's some of it was like being able to just write down my Aya experiences. But you know, a few years ago it was true that I literally would open a journal and couldn't even write a page, like didn't even know what to put down on a page, felt so self-conscious even in that private space. And I just finished a notebook in 6 months, which is what I used to do, like a big, you know, a big one. And all throughout that, like literally the day up to that, I was berating myself for like how I wasn't writing enough and how I wasn't showing up for my, you know, this channel, and feeling guilty and like getting that flogger out, you know. And then I like finished this notebook, and I was like, let me just see. And I went back to the front of the book to see what the date of the entry was, and it was like October. I was like, oh my God, you're back, you're doing it,
you're back.
You're
back,
it.
Baby.
You are doing it, like you're doing it. This is, you know. And before that it was like, oh, I finished a book in a year, a journal in a year, and it's like it is happening. It is happening. I want it to happen so much faster.
I like the turtle in the hair reference. This is turtle work. I like
turtle
that.
Work. Yeah.
It feels to me like it's coming to a close.
Yeah.
I do want to do another check to see if there's anything else that's bubbling inside that would like to come out.
This feels good now. Like I'm able to be here with you, present with you. I still have a lot of fear about the experience of like having to see myself on camera and edit the footage that still's here. Like fear of being plunged back into, like right back into that place from before. So there's that here, which is, I just want to name it. There's some like amusement / embarrassment about like, I don't know how you're gonna cut together that first bit. really chaotic. I like started and didn't finish like 5 stories. I have like some around my circling community that I care so much about. There's a bunch of communities that like I didn't really have, that wasn't the time, didn't have the capacity to name and handle, that I want to make sure I really deeply love, and there's like piece of me that wants to, like, I'm a facilitator of this practice, and I want to, relatefulness, and I wish I could have done that more justice in this episode, because I think it's a pretty amazing practice that's helped me a lot with integration and healing outside of needing to work with plant medicine all the time. It's really bridged, like, it's been really pretty profound. And I don't really want, like, I still don't have the energy to get into the whys of all that right now. But, like, I have some there about that.
I know how important that community is to you. And also I've seen and experienced how it's been incorporated into your life, and how, like your communication, like, is so much, just the shift.
Yeah.
The shift is, I'll just sum it up with the shift, is really visible from that community, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, that practice means a lot to me. Is there anything else? Enjoying my dog's snores in the background. I'm curious if the mic is picking it up.
It's definitely picking it up.
Definitely picking it up.
For my experience of these mics, it is picking it up.
Yeah, I say this a lot, but I'll say it here. It's a really wild experience to be a spirit in a body. And it's like a strange and wonderful gift. And I'm really interested. Like, it's a really strange and specific experience to be in, like, a female body, and like a female body of this shape and size and changing sizes. And it's interesting, like my I've done a lot of work with a writing partner who has cerebral palsy. It's like really interesting to explore. Like, one of the things that connected us initially was like, wow, what's it like to be in a body with a a physical disability. It's like we actually really connected. Not that I have a physical disability, but I felt really met in the idea of being in a body that is both your way to connect with the world and something that feels like you feel so unseen so often. Like, this person really knew what it felt like to be unseen. Zach Anna really knew what that was. And I'm interested in all the versions of that. And just feels important. Like, some of the squeegee work I have to do, creative work I have to do is talking more about my lived experience of this one.
Yeah. And
the ways it connects to both the micro and the macro. Yeah, I love that. Because I really like seeing people, and I really like what it feels like to feel seen, to be known. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels real good.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for doing this with me amidst all of the dissonance and tension and turmoil that it brought up, and the wild ride we had in the beginning. And we stuck with it, and just like feeling just how peaceful it is here at the end with Leah. Well, with Leah snoring.
So peaceful.
I spoke 1 second too soon. Literally.
Thank you for the divine comedy. Leah. Love that.
As she was previously snoring. And we were just able to drop in here. But most of all, thank you for being so vulnerable and open and honest about what was happening with you. It's really powerful to me.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this with me, Joel. It felt cool. Yeah, the one part of the conversation we had before we went into this that I wish we'd been able to capture was just like, I think we both were really cool in how we navigated that conversation and the amount of care that we showed each other, which makes conversations like that possible. And it didn't even take that long. You know, it was like pretty quick, actually. But yeah, like that's one of many things I really value in connection with you and appreciate.
Same.
Yeah.
Same, 100%.
And I just wish like there's some of that I wish we were able to capture for people to see because it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it is really beautiful.
Yeah. Nice to model.
Well.
Oh well.
I love you.
Love you too.
And to all of you who may be watching or listening, I invite you to make a little room for healing in your lives, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for making a little room for my podcast. I'd love to be a part of your journey too. Follow me on Instagram at A Little Room for Healing for news, updates, offerings, and connection. To book a session with me, go to www.alittleroomforhealing.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, follow the link at the bottom of the episode description. Have a beautiful day.